So I'm doing these tasting episodes to help you make your buying decisions more easily. And I've been drinking wines for a half century. And I've been collecting wines and in the wine business for over 4 decades. So hopefully all my past experiences will help you make better buying decisions. In this tasting episode, we're going to cover 11 wines. The first wine, and as I said again, I'm going to specify when wines are cellar selections so that you know they came from my cellar or my friend's cellars. The rest of the wines I open up and I drink with my dinner generally, or I drink with other friends when we have dinner. The first wine of this episode is a cellar selection, and it's two wines. This is a tasting I went to with my friends, and we had a lot of really good Burgundies that night. And it's Comte Georges de Vogue, Musigny, 2008 and 2009. And that's amazing. A lot of people have a hard time ever finding Musigny. There's so little of it made. It's so expensive. But at this tasting, we had 2 bottles. And the 2008 is very, very good, but the 2009 just outshadows it. And Musigny is right at the top level quality of Grand Cru Burgundy. And there's such a small amount of it. And these bottles go for $1,000, $2,000 a bottle now. It's crazy, but I feel very lucky I had the opportunity to taste them. And the 2008 was excellent. Big wines, ripe, mouth-filling, still with the pedigree of Grand Cru Burgundy. And these wines last forever, and they're just majestic. The 2009 is drinking well now and will age well in the future. The second wine is a Kirkland Chianti Classico Reserva 2019. And this is a Costco wine, and I'm not going to say much about it because it was very ordinary. It was very inexpensive. It was like $7 or $8 for a Chianti Classico Reserva, but I didn't find it to be very characteristic of Sangiovese grape, and it was pretty mediocre. There was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't flawed. It was well made, but I'd rather have other things. The next wine is Produttori Barbaresco 2016, the Normali. The Normali means it's just a straight village wine that it's the production from the whole area instead of being from one particular vineyard selection. The 2016 vintage in Piemonte is a great vintage. And Produttori produces, for me, the best Barbaresco, and it's sensibly priced. They have over 50 different sources that they draw from growers. And this wine is very elegant, beautifully constructed. And it's a wine that's impeccably balanced and moderate weight, and really delicious and with great length, and shows a Nebbiolo grape at its finest. And the single vineyard bottlings, I'm sure, are going to be even bigger and more mouth-filling. But for a wine that I think I paid $35 for, it is outstanding at that price, and it's a wine that's going to age 15 years. So, like that very much. The next wine is La Crema Venera Pinot Noir Sonoma Coast 2019. And La Crema is owned by Jackson Estate. And I said this many times over that I think as far as industrial producers of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, they make very good wines, varietally correct and very balanced, not over the top. And this is another one. I found in 2019 very serviceable, and I wouldn't mind people bringing it to my house and opening up and drinking it. So for a wine that's around $20, under $20, you can't go wrong with that. The next wine is a wine from Alsace, Ugel or Ugel, a Classic Riesling 2020, and that's one of the famous names in Alsace, one of the old names. I remember reading a book, Wine and War, and there's a chapter on Ugel about when he went away to war in World War II. He actually dug a hole and buried some of his old vintages in a big hole because he knew the Nazis were going to take it, break it, steal it, sell it. So he took cases and cases of his best vintages he had in his estate and buried them. And when he came home from war, he dug them up, and they were good. I would love to taste some of those wines. And this wine, the 20 Riesling, very, very good wine, very balanced, steely, minerally, very fresh, white flowers in it. And when you use dry Riesling, as I said, Thai cooking, Chinese cooking, pork dishes, chicken with cream sauce, things like that. Very, very nice. Very nice. It's not close on you, but it's very serviceable for $20. The next wine is Domaine Laflave Macon Vierzet 2019. And Laflave produces some of the greatest white Burgundies in the world, and very expensive Polini and up and up and great wines, but very expensive and hard to get. And recently they've been doing a negotiant bottling, and they bought some land in Macon, and they produce very, very excellent Macon, which takes the level of Macon from here and puts it up to there. More ripeness, richness, roundness, and the wine is filled with fruit, Chardonnay, apples, and very, very well done. Rich. It's around $50, so it's not cheap, but it's very, very good, and it's a serious Burgundy. And the next wine is a cellar selection and a very special wine, Jadot Bon Mar, 1985. And I had this with a bunch of friends. And as I said, it's a cellar selection out of a friend's cellar. And the 85 vintage was an excellent vintage. Great Burgundies. And one of my favorite was Ravignon Chablis Lake Clos 85. It's one of my favorite white wines I've ever had. This is Bon Mar from Jadot 1985. It is rich. It's a big wine, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And for a wine that's 35 years old, it's still singing, and it still has years ahead of it. But it is a complex wine, getting all those tertiary nuances in it through the aging, and a great red Burgundy. The next wine is a wine from Chile. It's Casino Macol Cabernet Sauvignon Antiques, which means antique, I guess, Old Vines, 2017. And I've had some of these wines before, Casino Macol, and their wines are very old-fashioned. They're very rich, especially the Cabernet. I do like their Sauvignon Blanc, which is very light, flowery, white flowers, and very crisp. And it's very good wine. It's cheap. This wine is very, very tannic, rich, and it pushes you a little. It doesn't have the balance and the finesse and the elegance that some of the other Chilean Cabernets have. It's more forceful, but if you want that bigger style, you can drink that. And it's kind of rustic, but it's still a very good wine. The next one is a Champagne, Paul Barra Reserve Champagne. It's Brut, and it's from the Bouzy area of Champagne. What a great name for an area you produce grapes. Bouzy, Bouzy. And I remember, I love the champagnes from Bouzy. It's mainly Pinot Noir there. So the wines are rich. And this wine, the non-vintage, was under $40 when I got it. And it is rich. It is big. It is very good, very excellent, a little bready, but fresh and fruity. And for that amount of money, it's a great deal. So if you can find Paul Barra Reserve Champagne from Bouzy, you should try it. He's a very good producer. The next wine is Recini Chianti Classico 2010. Originally, this estate was owned by Irish person in Chianti, and they've been making wines, and I've enjoyed their wines over the years. So I bought a couple of cases of this because when I tasted it, I really liked it, and I'm getting down to the last few bottles, and it's aged Chianti 2010. And I think it's ready to drink. I think it's at its plateau and it's starting to slide down. You get orange peel and a little balsamic in the wine. It's very elegant. It's very good, but it's to drink now. The last wine, it's a cellar selection, is Robert Geoffroy Chambeau Musigny Les Sentiers, 2005. And this is another big wine. 2005s are very, very slow aging. In Burgundy, in Bordeaux, those wines like glacially aging. They're big, they're rich, they're well colored, and this wine fits that big, ripe, but balanced and has a big backbone to it. And as I said, these wines are not cheap. It's a cellar selection. It's probably $250, $300 a bottle. And I put this wine in in a Burgundy tasting I attended, and it was very good tasting. So hopefully you found all these wines useful.